I am Marc Prensky. I am with Osama Mazur, and I'm very happy to be together to talk about what I just wrote a book about, which is empowered young people.
From my side, I would say it's very important for us to talk to you, not only because of your book, which is a peg of the story, but we also do DEF Dialogue, which is DEF Dialogue. Digital Empowerment Foundation does this dialogue regularly with international community members about what's happening in the digital development, and we share with the wider world. So when I got a mail from you that, there is a new thing happening, you have written a new book, I immediately replied saying that let's get together, and without even thinking, going back to our meeting in Scotland, because every couple of years or year, you keep coming with this book of thoughts and telling the world how to lead the next generation and how to behave in the next upcoming world. So here we are, Marc Prensky sitting in California, Osama Mazur sitting in India, in Pondicherry. You have written Empowered as your latest book. Our organization's name is Digital Empowerment Foundation. And that makes a very, very straightforward connection that while Digital Empowerment Foundation is working for the last 20 years, how to empower the unconnected, I think what you are actually saying is that what is the next challenge to get empowered, especially for the youth who are joining this new world in the 21st century with the digital bandwagon. So how do you define empowered in 21st century?
Empowered for me has two components. One is self-direction, is that you pick what you want to do and what you think is important and what you want to work on. And the second component is real-world accomplishment with measurable positive impact. If a project gets done by some people, they need to be able to say, see that? Last year, that didn't exist, or it wasn't very good. And now, because of what my project did and my team did, it's so much better. If you can say that over and over again and point to your resume of things that you have improved in the world, then I think you are an empowered person. I think I have a gift for you. I hope I have a gift for you. I was just giving a speech to a group that is about EdTech, educational technology. And I said, a lot of this is just putting online the same content that we would deliver in classrooms if we could, and then to try to make it big and get reach and get scale. But what we have not done as well is use technology to empower young people, to connect, to build teams. So I created a new term. Not edutech, not edtech, empotech, technology that empowers. We don't have any good way right now through technology for people from India and people from America and people from Russia and China to connect around projects. We have this in business, but we don't have it for younger people. We don't have software and ways to pass projects from time zone to time zone to time zone the way they do in business, but we don't have that for young people. We really lack the infrastructure, and possibly because we're so afraid that our kids are going to get hurt or something, but we lack the infrastructure to do the work that we want to do and that young people want to do worldwide.
When you say empotech, right, the technology that empowers young people, do you think that's a big challenge, the way technology is moving, the way technology is being adopted by young people? Because everybody is complaining that the young people are only adopting technology as a social media and getting addicted to it. They are perhaps only adopting technology to become millionaire, they want to become a unicorn or something, but in terms of being a tech user, the mass user, either you are being influenced by political mobilization or or hate speech or narratives that is not good for the growth of the young people. What do you say about that?
I say everything is important. Every person is important, but those are some small issues of the moment. The bigger picture is that it is not that our young people are becoming addicted to technology. They are becoming symbiotic with technology. Technology is becoming a body part of us. And now it's separate from us in our mobile phone, but soon it will be built into our bodies. And if you cut off a part of the body, it hurts. If you use your hand, which we all know is a part of our body, to punch somebody in the face and hurt them, what do? Do we take your hand away? No. Do we cut off your hand? No. We just talk about how to use it more effectively. So where people see addiction, I see preparation for the future. I see becoming a symbiotic hybrid person of the 21st century who is part human and who's now partially digital and technological. And if we see it as a fight, oh, look at our kid, they're addicted to social media, and that's a big fight. No, we're all one thing. We are all one thing. Young people with their phones are now a new thing. And we have to make that the best we can. And it's a struggle, and it will take 20 years to figure it out.
So, Mark, what you are talking about is something relating to saying biological system, perhaps the future of technological management for the young people is to understand and allow it to get embedded, and you allow yourself to get embedded with technology. And actually, this is a time of a gestation period where we are getting used to tech, and then by next 10, 20 years, you are saying that it will become integral part of us, and by then we would have learned how to use tech for ourselves. So I'm remembering that about 20 years back, I was talking to Kevin Kelly, and he said that future of technology is biology. And that reminds me to ask you to relate that, do you suggest that import tech is the biggest challenge for the new generation or the young people, is to have it as a biological system and not tech as a technological system?
Yes, I think you put it very nicely. I'm very happy you're thinking this way. I think it's too late to make the distinction between technology and biology. I think that is already happening, and those people who think that they can make a distinction are not seeing the world as it is. They're seeing the world as they wish it was still, as it may have been in the past. In the world that we live in, and it's coming gradually, not to everybody at the same speed, but everybody knows that if you are a human being in the 21st century, and maybe think of 20 years down the road, you are connected to everybody, because that's how the world is now working. So there's no more of the individual person working by himself. There's some, but no, that person is now already connected to everybody on the planet who has technology, who wants to share in what they are doing. Okay, we all love games, and we all love sending messages and pictures to each other. That's a good place to start, but that's not where we're going to end up, because we are humans and we invent things. And what we are doing is keep inventing more and more powerful things and new ways to use these things. And remember, right now, all the social media that we have is not invented by the young generation. It's all invented by the older generation, and it's being used in many cases to manipulate the younger generation. So we should be concerned about that. But when they start creating and inventing and adapting and putting their stamp on what's going on, and not keeping the 20th century perspectives that we have, I think things will evolve and change in very positive ways.
So more than half the Indian population are young people, right? We have world's largest, perhaps, young population, number one. Number two, we also are one of the most unconnected country, while we are also the second most connected country, right? We have a very, very paradoxical challenge here. You know, our huge number of youth are connected. A huge number of youth are also unconnected, right? How do you think that your book has a message for these people? And what message is that?
The message that I want to bring to young people, to people all over the world, is that in the 20th century, it was enough to say, get educated, get yourself a little bit of reading and writing, and if you can do it, get yourself some math and language and science and social studies, and then you will be an educated person, and that will be very good. And we tried to do that, and we are still trying to do that because it's hard to reach everybody that way. I think what everybody can do, and what we could do much more easily, is empower everybody to say, you need to find something you care about, that you want to make better. You need to help find a team to do it with, and then you need to do it and say you have done it. Do you know Kiran Birsethi in Design for Change?
Kiran from Ahmedabad?
Yes. What she has left the world, I think, more than anything else, is this idea of FIDS, feel, imagine, do, share. This project methodology that is based on design thinking, that scales, it's fractal. You can do this anywhere with technology, without technology, but you start with empathy with people. You imagine something that could be better, and you make it happen, and then you share it with people. And that's what I think every young person, and every person, but especially every young person, should be doing. Thinking about who they are, self-knowledge, what do I care about, what do I want to see change, what am I good at, who are the people that I want to be with, and then accomplishing in projects, and then seeing change, watching change happen in front of you, and saying, I have not done anything in the world unless I can see something that my power let me do, and that we did, and that I'm proud of, and that we did this. And in doing that, I realized my dreams, because every kid starts with the dreams. So my idea in the book is you have to find who you are, you have to apply that to the world, and then you can be happy and realize your dreams as the world improves. I think that we are starting to see that in many places.
So do you really think that to know yourself, you need a technology? I think you need to just meditate.
I think that the technology can certainly help. For if only the technology, for example, you had on your phone were a series of questions that you never or rarely get asked, like, tell me the problems that you care about. Everybody says you should care about the environment, and you should do this, and you should do that. What do you care about? What do you love to do? What are you good at? How do you work well together? How can you find a team? How do you suffer? We just worked with kids in Spain and discovered that almost every one of them is suffering. And they said something we really need is to say, how do we overcome the suffering that we're going through as we grow up? How do we find these things out? And I think technology can help. I think it's a huge missing piece of Empotech, which is to say self-knowledge. We have tools that are here and there all over the world. We have to put them together. It should be a joyful thing. It should be a fun game every year on your birthday. You go through it, you find out a little bit more about who you are, about what you can do, about what's good for you, and how you put it together with other people. But then the next step has to be applying. It has to be getting things done. Google used to say on its website, we need people who can get things done. We don't need people who know stuff. We don't need people with knowledge. We need some people with knowledge to get things done. But what we really want are applying that knowledge to make the world better. And so I agree with you that the biggest challenge is to integrate and make symbiosis happen between all this wonderful new technology we have and who we are as people, and become new 21st century people who are much more capable, who don't have to be manipulated, who are capable as individuals and as small teams of changing the world in ways that were never, ever possible when you and I were young. But that's a big challenge. There is something you need to do, and that is improve your world. There's not a single person in the world who doesn't look around and say, oh, I see a problem there. Oh, I see a problem there. Whether it's garbage in the streets or whether it's bullying in schools, whatever the problems are, everybody sees them. And then somebody's got to say, I want to fix that problem. We will have a lot more technology. We will have AI, artificial intelligence. The phones in our pockets or built into us will be 1 billion times more powerful. You know all this. Here's what we won't run out of. We won't run out of dreams to realize, because people have dreams. We won't run out of problems to fix, because people have problems. And we won't run out of people who need help. And the most fun part is we won't run out of people who want to realize dreams, fix problems, and help other people. So there's a future. And technology integrated into us has to be part of that future. But it's a future about good things, about realizing dreams and fixing problems and helping other people.
So are you saying in a way that we need to change our education system? And what I'm actually coming to you from the perspective that I have children, one is 23, other is 19. They never went to a traditional school. They learned through the education system when there was no necessary teachers, no necessary curriculum, no necessary topic or something. They learned whatever they wanted to learn, and one is graduated without properly what you call a certified graduate, and they are doing pretty well to figure it out that and challenging the education system actually. So what I'm actually asking you is that most of the education system is totally dominated by working for somebody else. You are being engineered not to ask questions, but just to learn so that you can get employed in a certain factory or in a certain company, in a certain coding industry, in certain whatever. I mean, you know it better than me. And what you are now saying is that we need entrepreneurs who can think out of the box, who must be thinking all the time. For the self, for the universe, for the earth, for the people, for the environment, for the ecosystem, for how to live a life. So basically you're saying we need to have a conscious human being around us. and this new generation need to be a conscious human being who must know what you are doing, why you are doing, you should have a purpose. So are you challenging the education system?
I love the language you use, and I'm so happy to be connected. Here's what I tell people. I have resigned from the education space and the education system. It was a system that worked very well in the 20th century when people didn't know much. They needed teachers and they needed help and books and things to find out more. That was a different time, and education was a great solution. And it's a solution that worked in the entire world. For me, we need to move beyond that to empowerment. And that is an alternative. Maybe side by side, you start by doing both. I think that's probably the right answer. But empowerment is very different from education because it is doing positive projects, accomplishing things where you can see the world being changed for the better in a positive way. And you don't see that when you go to education. You don't see that at all. You just take in. The visual is when you're doing education and parenting, you are putting things into heads as much as possible, and would hopefully good things that we all thought were true and important. When you do empowerment, you are bringing things out of people's heads, things that they imagine, problems that they see solutions for. You are taking what's inside. We all grow up wonderful things that see the world and interact with the world in our own way. And we don't bring that out. What we do is we stamp down, you should be part of society. This is society. Here's how we did it. So I think your children had a wonderful opportunity. And we are starting to see that having a degree and having a credential from education is not working as well for getting a job. It is just because it's old. That's great. That's an old system. It was perfect for our parents. But now you need to show up with your resume of accomplishments. What did you do? Because the best predictor of future accomplishment is past accomplishment. So if you go to, for example, the Design for Change site, they have these wonderful examples of 3-year-olds fixing a problem that they care about of not having good garbage bins, or of 6-year-olds doing something, or of 20-year-olds. Some of this really, technology helps a huge amount. Some of it, you don't need as much technology to do. But the thought that the goal is not learning, that's the big problem with education. The big problem with education is they thought learning in itself was a good goal. That's academia. That's true. And it's not bad, but it's not enough. If you don't take that learning and apply it, or if you don't even start applying it and then get the learning as a byproduct, then you're doing it backwards. And now that we have young people who are so empowered by technology, they carry around in their pockets capabilities that we could hardly ever imagine when we were young. They need to apply that to making their world better in whatever way they want to, in whatever domain they want to. It doesn't have to be in math or science or language or social studies or anything else. It can be whatever you want, as long as there's measurable positive impact on some other people in some aspects of the world. That is a totally different conception of growing up than education. Education is putting it in, putting it in, putting it in. You get whatever's in there, and then when you're old, you can do whatever you want with it. Empowerment is no, we're bringing out what's inside you, and we're encouraging you to bring out more and more and more, and to use that in a positive way to help the world. So I see it just two separate systems, maybe side by side for a long time. You need both. Education by itself will not be enough for young people in the 21st century. Empowerment.
I'm so glad you reminded me of listening to Sir Ken Robinson as well. He talked so much about the challenges in education. Last question: what are the 5 tools that we consider to have an empowered younger generation?
We don't have the 5 tools yet. We have the beginnings of tools. So nobody knows how to connect people. And here's a great example that people are talking about. Think of Greta Thunberg on the one hand, and think of Elon Musk on the other hand. Now, Greta Thunberg has definitely a passion and a purpose and a desire and wants to get something done. She has no idea how, or she had no idea. She stood in the rain with a sign. She talked to the United Nations, big deal. She organized a few strikes. But if she were thinking like Elon, whatever you think of good or bad or Twitter, if she were thinking like Elon, she would say, here's the power I have. If I want to get something done, say I want to change the climate and change adult behavior, I can reach and organize billions of kids, every kid who is connected. And I can say something like, let's go on strike permanently from school until something gets done. That's an amount of power that's comparable to the kind of power that Elon is using. So I want to turn the Greta Thunbergs in the future into Elons, but I want to add the moral compass of a Gandhiji. So that it's not just for no purpose, it's for helpful purposes, positive purposes, good purposes. And if we can make our young people understand that they can have the power of Elon Musk to do huge things because they have the technology, and they can have the power of a Gandhiji because they can get people on the same moral wavelength, or whatever we want to say that he did. That is huge. That really is something that I think everybody can aspire to. Hopefully, young people will think about taking platforms, taking technology, taking whatever is theirs now, and using it in very positive ways. We're not there yet. We're just starting. And some of the ways exist in business because business has felt the need to build worldwide teams, to work together, to create, to use the power of technology, because that makes them more competitive, perhaps. But the young people need to figure out how to use this power for their own purposes, for what they think is important, and using as models good models. I just use these 2 examples of Gandhi and Musk. I think those are possibly the 2 people who in thousands of years will be remembered, because what they did was so incredibly powerful. What we need to do is help our young people understand this is power. This is the power that they have. They have power that never existed in the world before on the technological side, and rarely existed before on the moral side, possibly sometimes in some religions when they started. That's what's new. When I grew up, we had 2 billion people in the world. Now we have 8 billion people in the world, 4 times as much, and 2 billion young people. We have the same number of young people in the world. The possibilities are enormous that they can do. If we don't put them down and say, be like us, and put stuff into them, I think they will expand and do wonderful, wonderful things, learn from each other, build new technologies with something in mind. That's why Empotech is important. Not technology for education, technology to become more empowered, more powerful, more helpful to the world. That's my crusade at the moment.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much. I mean, this was very enlightening. How do we bring your book to the masses here in India? Because in the shape of book, it may not be reachable because of logistical cost and so on and so forth. But is there a way to bring in, I mean, local language, audiobook, whatever?
I am open to everything, taking out the pieces that are going to be meaningful to people and getting them to people in every way. I already have a little book called Digital Natives Rising that is online for free in multiple languages, and anybody can translate that and make that happen. I'm working with people like Ravi Venkatasan, an academic named Tushar Garg that wants to promote this. And I've had a lot of very, very interesting contacts in India. India is in some ways the most ripe to do this. It is just ready to flower. It has a population that is reasonably democratic, that speaks English to a large extent, and that can communicate with each other. It is so important. And you see it happening because you come to Silicon Valley and you look around at who runs all our companies, it's people from India. And so you see the possibilities that are there. We need to spread new ideas. And the easiest way to say those ideas is the way that Kiran Sethi says them. I can. That is what young people have that they didn't have in the past. They have it both in belief and they have it in capabilities through the technology. I want all my good friends in India and from all over India, and it's a big, diverse country, like my country is a big, diverse country. I want us to just start working together in a new direction, in such a positive direction for the 21st century, helping our young people become empowered.
I especially ask this question because Digital Empowerment Foundation has got more than 2,000 villages reach in 24 states in India, in 130 districts, and 24 states and 2,000 locations, and all kind of languages. So the copy that I'm getting of yours, I'm going to take out and maybe create an audio, pieces out of it, and do a little narrative and spread it.
You are the best. Let's do it together, and I will put you in touch with all the people I know who are doing good work, who want to do things that are in line with what you're doing. Everybody does the piece that he or she is comfortable with and is concerned about and wants to do. And if we're all going in the same direction of that, all the reason we're doing this is just to keep empowering people more and more and more and help them think they can, then we will all get there together. It's something that is so different in the 21st century and so much better for all the young people who have suffered for so long. Because everything was so individual and people were not connected. It's a big ray of hope, I think, for everybody. So thank you.
And one last message we want from you is that Digital Empowerment Foundation is 20th year of operation. We named Digital Empowerment Foundation in 2002. So we would like to have, what do you wish us to do in the next 20 years as a foundation in India and across the world?
I hope over the next 20 years, and it takes that long because it takes 20 years for a person to grow up. I think that we will have a different vision of what we can do for the world. I think no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter what economic background you come from, you are now part of a digital world. You are becoming a human who is partially digital, but a whole human, an expanded human being. And the foundation and the way you're looking at this, and congratulations on 20 years of work and hard work, I love it, is that we all want to say, I can, we can, and now is the time we should.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time and inspiring us to come online and talk to each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will do it.